What's going on, everybody? This is Marcus. Before I get started, I want to thank you guys so much for your support. It really means everything to me, and I love you guys so much. So thank you for the support. It means a lot, so thank you so much. For those who are new to my channel and for those who are seeing it for the first time, make sure you like this video, share this video, subscribe to my channel, and make sure you hit that bell to enable notifications whenever I drop a video, and we're going to always keep this thing rolling. So, let's talk about Ms. Marvel episode 5. So, definitely a great episode for sure, and as promised, we're going to do an Easter egg breakdown for that too. So, I actually watched episode 5, of course, and already seen it, so I wanted to do an Easter egg breakdown for that, and definitely getting ready for episode 6, because episode 6 is going to drop next Wednesday too, so I'm definitely looking forward to seeing that. So, basically, in India, 1942, Aisha takes refuge in the village where Hassan lives, which of course Hassan is an Indian independence activist, and he offers her food and shelter. And then of course they get together and they actually have a kid as well. They fall in love, have a child named Sana. So basically it goes all the way back to the past. And so 5 years later, Najma finds Aisha and orders her to retrieve the Bangle. Of course, the whole series so far is basically just dealing with the Bangle, which is what Kamala actually wears to activate her powers. There's some Terrigen mist inside the Bangle too, so I'm glad they actually kept that as well. But that's practically what the whole series is about. Basically, Kamala activating her powers and being able to embrace her role as Ms. Marvel. And so Aisha actually leaves with Sana and attempts to find a new nation of Pakistan with her family. But actually what happened was Naja finds her and she stabs her. And so Hassan and Sana are separated in the chaos. And so Kamala is able to interact with Aisha. So it goes back to the present time. And then he asks her to guide Sana. So conjuring a projection of stars that leads Sana to her father, Kamala realizes she was destined to reunite with them. And so returning to the present, she finds that Najma's strike had opened the veil of the Noor. So of course Noor is also another word for lights as well. So but it vaporizes everyone who interacts with it, which is actually a scary scene. So whoever actually touches that ends up being vaporized. So Najma transfers her powers to Kamron. So we finally get to see Kamron uses his powers just a bit too. So she actually ends up sacrificing herself to close the veil. And so Sana and Muniba find Kamala, and the latter accepts her daughter's powers. So basically her mother actually finally finds Kamala, and then she ends up accepting Kamala's roles of her powers. So she basically accepts Kamala's destiny. So finally, so I'm sure we'll see her father's reaction too when they actually reunite with her as well. And so anyway, Kamron seeks refuge with Bruno, Kamala's friend, but they were attacked by a DODC drone, which is Department of Damage Control. So Kamron destroys it, but the ensuing explosion actually obliterates the store below them. So that's the cliffhanger. So we won't see the whole shebang, or basically the whole situation, play out until episode 6 of this Wednesday. So I'm looking forward to seeing it. It's definitely going to be pretty awesome too, because that explosion cliffhanger was just epic. But there was like a lot of Easter eggs, especially in episode 6. So we're going to go ahead and break that down. So without further ado, I got Eric Voss right next to me. So let's get started.
Welcome back to New Rockstars. I'm Eric Voss, and this is a breakdown of Ms. Marvel episode 5, which further breaks the MCU's already broken time travel logic, but does so in the most beautiful way, while doing to the clandestines what would happen to me if I ever tried to leave this blue dungeon.
Oh no.
I am going to explain exactly
Evaporation.
Some interesting Easter eggs that you might have missed, and just some really cool visual details. Reminder that the best way to support New Rockstars is with
a lot of good visual details too, especially with the Bangles. So
write in a custom shout out for our after show, NewRockstarsMerch.com. This episode opens with a song called Tumera Chan by Soraya and Shyam from the 1949 Bollywood film Dilaji, which itself is
actually the intro, especially with the intro to Marvel Studios in the episode, it was actually really cool that they actually related to black and white. So, and it's actually called back to Wuthering Heights too, so that's actually a classic. So
Wuthering Heights, the story of a tragic romance of lovers, Kathy and Heathcliff, who are forced apart by circumstance. Kathy first appears as a ghost before her story is told via flashback, just as this episode flashback on characters thought to be ghostly Jin catching up to their
That's a great comparison. I love it.
The song Tamara Chan's words translate to "You are my moon, I am your moonlight," which, if you think about it, is a variation on "What you seek is seeking you."
Which is what I talked about last time.
In fact, really, the phrase "what you seek is seeking you" is a way to describe how all of us are on predestined paths. That loved ones and things that you seek out are also on a destined path to find their way to you. The Marvel Studios title imagery transitions to a sepia-toned, grainy film stock that skips in a 4:3 letterbox aspect ratio as this becomes a 1940s newsreel explaining the
riots rage in India.
The appointed Indian Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru, and we see Pakistan's political founder Muhammad Ali Jinnah, a mural of whom appeared in Karachi last episode. We see a map showing India and Pakistan dividing, with territory to the rest of India demarcated from Pakistan, but also a section to the east. This would go on to become Bangladesh.
Bangladesh,
At the start of the partition, Bengal's assembly voted to be part of Pakistan. That is until 1971, when war broke out and Bangladesh secured its independence as a separate country from Pakistan. We also see Mahatma Gandhi, the Indian freedom fighter, arguably most influential in India's independence from British rule, who was assassinated a year after this in 1948. This episode then jumps back to 1942, which was really the year Gandhi first openly, formally began pushing for the British to just completely leave India. Aisha flees a British soldier after leaving the ruins of where they found the Bangle that was marked with the 10 rings logo back in episode 3.
Yep, back in episode 3.
Feet to his boots, and then she flings an ornate dagger at him. Presumably, this is her clandestine weapon, as they all can summon weapons, but it aligns Aisha more with the Red Dagger Society. Last episode, the Ms. Marvel titles flickered between English and Urdu. Now we only have one English one shown on a torn British flag. The rest are in various languages. There's Urdu, Hindi, Gujarati, Bengali, Tamil, and Telugu. Actually, last week there was one in the colors of the 1992 Pakistan cricket national team, so it's just kind of fun to go through these one by one. So let's do it. After the Union Jack, there's one in Urdu showing the shadows of Muslim refugees on the wall.
Which, of course, is a hero in comics named Union Jack as well, who also becomes Captain America's partner as well. So, Union Jack, definitely one of Cap's partners.
Bullet holes in it. Then one in Hindi showing a field of flowers. Then another one in Urdu showing the mural of the Red Daggers. And we see there's one male and one female. Then there's another one in Urdu showing a photograph of refugees. Then another in Hindi on a blue train car marked with NWR, India's Northwestern State.
That's so cool. You can actually interpret the Miss Marvel language in different languages.
Bengali in smoke by the train tracks. Then one in Hindi over a map showing the border between India and Pakistan. Then another in Assamese or Bengali. Then an interesting one, a cracked border in concrete on one side, Urdu, on the lower side, Hindi, a literal partition between Urdu and Hindi matching the border between Pakistan and India. Then one in Telugu, actually in a stylish font of Kannada, over a field of roses like Hassan's rose garden, overlooking a city in the mist, maybe a hint at the Noor dimension. Then one in Punjabi, stamped on a resettlement card for the Khan family. One man, one woman, one infant. Registration office 4291, index number 12. Cards like these were assigned to migrant Muslim families. Then one in Gujarati on a tapestry. Then another in Punjabi over a parody of the vintage Universal Pictures logo reading Marvel Studios Presents and a Sloth Baby production. That, of course, is Kamala's YouTube channel. Then one in Tamil over a depiction of refugees. Then another in Gujarati, purple text on a cosmic background. And then one final one in Urdu, green over roses. In Hassan's village, a few kids are playing cricket. Women purchase some bracelets. And Hassan stirs up a crowd, citing Mahatma Gandhi to resist being forced off their land. British soldiers break up the crowd. Aisha naps in Hassan's rose garden, roses being very important to the language and culture and the general lore of the country of Pakistan. Inside, Hassan says,
"You know, when I saw you out there, it reminded me of my favorite poem. The soul lies down in the back grass the way distant for the dawn. But you see,
this is quoting Rumi, a 13th century Persian poet, Sufi mystic, and a major influence on the entire Muslim world. Aisha is smitten and reveals her name.
My name is Aisha.
Aisha, she lives."
Beautiful name too. Beautiful woman as well. So cool. But yeah.
Yes, she lives. ironically dies this episode. Some
Yeah,
time passes,
no, that's
Aisha
the bummer
gets
part
a
about that.
walking stick as she sports one of the roses in her hair, looking a lot like Sana's painting of her that we saw last episode. They both rest their hands on her baby bump as the bangle is framed right beside it, symbolizing how this bangle will pass down through the women of this lineage. Aisha sings an Urdu lullaby, and as the division between Muslims and the Hindus grow wider, Najma finds Aisha and gives her until sundown to retrieve the bangle so that they can go back to their home dimension. So Aisha gets the family to flee to the train station, but Hassan confronts her.
Who's that woman you were talking to last night?
Yeah, notice the music mixes in that menacing sting that's always been used to introduce the threat of Najma.
I've been waiting a very long time to meet you.
Aisha shows him the bangle, and writing appears on the cuff's outer bands. This is the inscription that she added that Waleed noticed later, quoting Hassan's recitation of Rumi's poem. Now, since the clandestine can transfigure their token weapons, this tells us that she has turned to the protected bangle as her token. Unfortunately, Najma still has her weapon, and Aisha, without any protection, gets stabbed in the stomach. As Najma walks off, Aisha warns her,
It won't work!
So what does Aisha know about the death traveler traveling through the Veil of Noor that Najma does not, or at least does not want to believe? Aisha may be more privy to the terms of their banishment and or more at peace with their exile. Saying goodbye to high-interest credit card debt is one of the first steps toward financial independence. But the interest month after month can feel like you're in a never-ending hamster wheel. That's where Upstart comes in. Upstart-powered personal loans can help you pay that.
Upstart's the best.
And the bangle glows, as do Aisha's eyes, and this either coincides with or causally triggers Kamala's arrival through the rift in time, opened up by the bangle from the present day last episode. Yes, this episode confirms that Kamala actually traveled back in time, and it was she who cast the trail of stars that saved her own grandmother. Now, this type of time travel is referred to as a closed loop or predestination.
So here's what we have. We have branch reality, always happen, Groundhog Day, seeing the future, unstuck mind, unstuck body. So they're basically called time travel types. And then another one, especially with the Back to the Future reference, was like, it's got the F word, F it. So I was like, what? That's crazy. So it's got Doc Brown and Michael J. Fox's character from Back to the Future. So, oh my gosh.
Wherein unexplained anomalies from the past are later revealed.
They're all called anomalies.
Of present characters looping back to the past events to set the timeline the way it has always been. It's actually one of the more common tropes in time travel fiction. You may know it from Prisoner of Azkaban, where the mysterious Patronus that saves Harry Potter was actually cast by himself, looping back to the past. Or from Terminator, where the human resistance leader John Connor was conceived by the same protector who went back in time to save his mother. Or Christopher Nolan's Interstellar, or Tenet, where bizarre phenomena happen early on in the movie and are later revealed to be the same heroes looping back on themselves. Filmmakers will often default to this because these twists do pack some narrative catharsis, suggesting that the chaos of the world is actually part of a divine plan. But it also implies characters have no
so many references
will,
too to different movies have done this.
They must make the choice of time travel. That choice has really been made for them. Now, you may feel this violates the MCU's time travel logic from Avengers Endgame, which suggests that traveling back in time doesn't cause you to live within the past as it was, but rather form a new branch timeline, a separate reality. However, Endgame's own ending contradicts that logic with the confusing arrival of old Steve Rogers. Screenwriters claim Old Cap lived in the background of the MCU as we've known it, which violates their own branch timeline logic. Meanwhile, the directors maintain Old Cap must have traveled back to this timeline from a different reality. Ultimately, folks, the narrative priority with that final scene was not logic, it was really emotional catharsis. But then we got Loki, which gave us a lot of new rules of how time travel works in the MCU. But that series ended by suggesting that all the events of the MCU were part of He Who Remains' predestined script, the sacred timeline. And that includes even the eventuality that the sacred timeline would unravel into infinite branches. The gambit He Remains posed to Loki and Sylvie was really a false choice. He knew that Sylvie would stab him and that the timeline would rupture into a multiverse. He wanted that to happen. That was part of his plan. Now, He Who Remains monologue and Loki's finale do remain up for interpretation. But one conclusion we can all agree on is that Marvel Studios sees themselves as master clockmakers and their universe as a predestined roadmap, a timeline engineered in-universe by manipulators like Kang in specific ways that we're about to learn a lot more about. So, this seeming accident of Kamala connecting with her great-grandmother through these bangles through time was preordained and designed by someone. And if you look closely at those branching timelines around the Citadel in the Loki finale, many of them do intersect with each other and bend backwards upon themselves. Each intersection may represent an incursion. Multiverse of Madness showed us what an incursion looks like when universes collide, while each shows us what an incursion looks like when realms collide, and now we are seeing what an incursion looks like when timelines collide. Now, Aisha does say here,
Bangle worked. Sana, it brought you back to me.
Yeah. It's like so many, man. We basically just saw incursions right there, so a good example of that one. So.
Yeah, see, Aisha did not think she was opening a rift in time to summon her great-granddaughter from the future. She just wanted the Bangle to save her daughter Sana. So from that, I think we conclude it was not Najma stabbing the Bangle in the present that opened the rift, and it wasn't Aisha's sort of prayer that opened the rift from the past. According to Loki, causality is incidental. No matter what, these points in the timeline were going to intersect, and history here just justified itself with these stimuli to trigger it internally. In this instance, it was a piece of Kree-tech or some other alien tech mixed with clandestine Nor magic to tear this rift into reality, the walls of which have already been weakening from all these things that have been happening in the MCU. Theoretically, this origin could have been scripted out by Kang or one of the Kangs to produce a clandestine descendant armed with Kree tech to join the pantheon of Marvel heroes in his eventual master plan to stage a Secret Wars event, or maybe by some other Kang to produce a friend for Kang's alternate self of Nathaniel Richards' Iron Lad in a Young Avengers lineup. There's a lot of ways you can read this, but hey, welcome to Phase 4, folks. Time travel.
None of this makes sense.
So yes, Kamala creates a Nor platform to create a path for Sana, but then she gets knocked by someone and the platform dissipates, but stays in the star form that is controlled by Sana herself, guiding herself back to Hassan. She was able to do this because she had some Nor magic in her blood and had the Bangle. So in a sense, one Bangle was reunited with another Bangle, just the same one through time. However, we gotta remember, there is another Bangle, one for the right hand, that exists somewhere hidden in this world. I am assuming among the collection of Dane Whitman's Uncle Nathan. So Kamala returns to the present, where the Veil of Nor rift has opened. It glows from golden to teal-colored to fuchsia.
Different colors too.
As Maria reaches into it, she turns into a statue of what this episode's audio description refers to as quote, black crystalline rock, which then crumbles to reveal her skeleton. And yes, this transformation does resemble the way Terrigenesis is shown in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Terrigen Mist forms a rocky cocoon around a person.
Yeah, that episode was crazy.
As an inhuman with powers. In the clandestine case, clearly not. But a similar aesthetic is at least worth noting. Maybe Terrigenesis will be revealed in this series as a worthiness judgment in the Nor realm, like what we saw in the Duat realm in Moon Knight, the Scales of Anubis. Like in this case, as you pass through the veil, if your heart is impure, you emerge from that cocoon dead. But if your heart is pure, like maybe if Aisha or Kamala were to try to pass through this veil, they'd emerge from that cocoon transformed. Or I don't know, maybe they just wanted to show how the Veil of Nor's energy differential melts you into bones like the Wrath of God in Indiana Jones. Disney made them put up this goofy vanity curtain to spare viewers from the gorier details. So then Najma offers herself to the Veil portal, and suddenly feeling bad for leaving Kamron behind, utters his name and transfers her Nor light through the veil, killing herself. But the way Aisha's Nor light summoned her descendant through time, or maybe it was just a random coincidence because of Kang. Yeah, I know, we talked about that. Najma's Nor light redirects
oh my gosh, he wants me fisting.
Nor light that Kamala has, except more teal-colored and apparently able to be controlled without the use of a Bangle. So in the comics, Kamron isn't inhuman the way Kamala is. He's just hit with the same Terrigen mist that Kamala is exposed to. It gives him different powers than stretchy limbs. He has blue-colored inner bioluminescence. Look, folks, I am just doing my best to explain what the hell happened here. The logic of the clandestines of the show is largely unexplained. I am not a writer on the show. This is all super inconsistent with G. Willow Wilson's comics. So light is magic and can be transferred among descendants of extra-dimensional beings, amplified by alien tech that's connected to the Ten Rings. I guess Marvel Studios is just Terrigenophobic, and they won't throw literally anything from Marvel lore against a wall, hoping YouTube will make sense of it for them. Which, yeah, you got us. Hook, line, and sinker. But I always do love the use of light and color on this show, and I love how the alleyway and lighting that accompany Kamron for pretty much the rest of this episode are that same blue hue that his inhuman form is in the comics. But Kamala proves that her trip to the past was not just a dream or a vision. She brought back with her a physical item, the way Hawkeye brought back a baseball glove to the present as proof. Here, the photograph actually parallels Pixar's Coco, the wayward child meeting their ancestor and returning with a family photo to heal the generational divide within their living relatives. Green tells Kamala,
although the U.S. government may or may not have severed warrants after my arrest.
U.S. government? This guy's a Pakistani citizen. It just sounds like the Red Dagger's vigilantism has gotten the attention of U.S. agencies like the DODC and may set up Kareem to return in titles like the Thunderbolts.
Yeah, that'll be fine.
He could be another one of Val's
That'd be
recruits.
awesome.
I'm sure Kareem will just have to deal with quite a few racist microaggressions from John Walker. But
Oh, God.
Kareem gives Kamala his red scarf. Remember last
The
episode,
team up
while
with
they
John
gave
Walker,
Kamala
that would be
his
insane.
Sana gave her the bangle, Bruno gave her the mask, and I guess she provided her own red shoes that the mosque thief let her keep. Really, we're seeing all the components of her final form contributed to her by different influences within her community. And now the final piece of it, Muniba finds her golden necklace that previously showed Kamala's name in Urdu, but now bent to form her swishy Bolt logo. I assume next episode, Muniba will complete the art of the unused Hulk outfits and create Kamala's final superhero look, and Kamala will actually be a good daughter and wear it. In the scrapbook, I did look at her some old photos of Muniba and some ticket stubs from concerts she went to, one reading Bruce,
Muniba's a good mom.
whom Sonic calls Bruce Springfield, before Muniba corrects her to Bon Jovi. And then there's a blue ticket stub. The blue ticket stub was for a show at the Oakland Coliseum, telling us that Muniba
That ticket was kind of blurry, though.
Kamala says,
Why have I never heard of this?
which is what Muniba asked earlier about the Find My Phone feature.
Then why am I only just hearing about this?
Yes, the mother and daughter are more alike than they realize. Kamron finds Bruno in the alley. This interaction witnessed by a closed-circuit security camera. Presumably the DODC was using the government facial recognition software we know S.H.I.E.L.D. uses to track Loki in the 2012 Avengers. That must be how they tracked Kamron to this location. Kamron doesn't really get Bruno's Argon science joke poster. This is exactly the kind of nerd humor that Peter Parker wears on his shirts. Actor Matt Lintz actually auditioned to play the MCU Peter Parker before the role went to Tom Holland. Like every scene I watch this guy and I'm like, yeah, he could have been a pretty great Peter Parker.
He could have.
Who
Yeah.
inventor Nikola Tesla is. He assumes it's just supposed to be for Tesla cars. Then one of the DODC drones, retrofitted from the smart drones in Far From Home, appear outside the window.
He kind of reminds me of Peter
Uses
Parker
his
too,
sword to
Bruno.
swat it away, blasting out the window glass. But Bruno tchotchkes are still standing. The drone retaliates by completely leveling the Circle Q shop. Between this and Delmar's Deli in Queens, and with some Spider-Man Homecoming, the bodegas of the New York area are under attack, and we must protect them at all costs. So now with the bland of Destine's toast and the Veil of Nord closed, it seems like the final conflict of the finale will be with Agent Deaver and the DODC. And sure, maybe a trigger-happy racial profiling government agency will be enough, especially with this agency returning She-Hulk and maybe Secret Invasion. But remember, it is still a mystery where the Bangle came from and how it is connected with the Ten Rings. So we may learn more about Deaver and Cleary's connections to a broader conflict with the Kree ahead of Marvels. And of course, I think Carol Danvers owes us yet a little cameo. That's everything I spotted in this episode. You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at
So this is going to be pretty interesting. And of course, now that the clandestines have been decimated, the main focus now is either going to be the DODC, the Department of Damage Control, or the several other people who are in the government as well. But I think we'll definitely, and I actually had this conversation with one of my friends. I think we'll definitely see a cameo of Captain Marvel. So that's what I'm thinking this is going to head, because like I said before, Miss Marvel is definitely setting up for Secret Invasion as well, for Secret Invasion and the Marvels as well. So the Marvels is not coming out, like I said before, until next year. So we'll definitely see a team up of Miss Marvel, Captain Marvel, and Photon. So like I said, I think it's setting up to the point to where now they're going to focus on the other heavy hitters now. I mean, the Clandestines are practically like, heavy hitters themselves. But now with the final episode brewing, they're definitely going to focus on either the Department of Damage Control or have some other members of the government to try and at least take down Kamala as well. But I think it's definitely going to set up to where the Skrulls are probably going to show up more than likely, and then we'll have a cameo of Captain Marvel. So I think we'll have a chance to see that by the end of the episode, a cameo of Captain Marvel and Miss Marvel together. So, but like I said, I'm enjoying this series so far. It's definitely one of my favorites for sure. Even though the lore, of course, in the comics, they took it and they practically just did a little difference as far as I could. Kamala not being exposed to Terrigen Mist, but the Bangle's pretty good too, because again, you practically can understand where the Bangle actually came from and the culture behind it. And there's also time travel properties as well. So it's like, yeah, so much things that are going on at the same time as well. So, but yeah, other than that, like I said, Iman Vellani she's Kamala Khan to a T. Just like Anthony, just basically considering the fact like how Robert Downey Jr. is Tony Stark, or Anthony Mackie as the Falcon, Sam Wilson, or the next Captain America, or the new Captain America. So, yeah, but like I said, they all do a great job with reprising their characters and bringing their characters to life. So it's actually pretty cool. So, but yeah, like I said, I'm gonna do episode 6 for the season finale for Miss Marvel. And on top of that, Thor: Love and Thunder, oh my gosh, definitely getting ready to go see that. So you guys be on the lookout for that and my reaction as well. So, but what do you guys think from Miss Marvel episode 5? Let me know in the comments down below. I'm definitely excited for episode 6. I think our theories are pretty much going to come to pass. We'll see how it goes. I think we'll see Captain Marvel cameos. I think it's going to be pretty good. I'll definitely text my friend Alan and one of my friends too and talk about this as well. So it should be pretty cool. So, but let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Thank you guys so much for hearing me out. I love y'all so much. Thank you for everything. Y'all know what to do. Like, share, subscribe. Do what y'all gotta do. Excelsior, as Stan Lee will say. I love y'all so much. I'll catch y'all on the next one.